Sziasztok! A változatosság kedvére jöttem comic reliefnek.
Normálisan nézek.
Azért a tisztesség kedvéért bemutatkozom, Dudus vagyok.
Nagyon szeretne veled fotózni,
Hello, hello, hello. Szóval, ahogy már előttem szó volt róla, most a kerekasztal, illetve a Q&A session következik a kedves vendégeinkkel. Úgyhogy fel is hívom őket. Sorrendben Elyon.
Sziasztok! Működik? Működik. Sziasztok! Én nem tudok lépcsőzni, meg menni se, de itt vagyok, és csinos vagyok.
TinYasuo. A második. And Symphonia. Szóval tiszteletbe tartsuk, hogy 2 a 3 vendégből nem beszél magyarul, ezért a kérdés-felelek részlet ez angol nyelven fog zajlani, úgyhogy most megnyomtam a gombot. Now we will proceed in English. So welcome to Hungary and welcome back to Hungary. Well, we can just start with probably introducing yourself. Please start with Symphonia.
Okay, so I go first. I'm Symphonia. I'm from Germany. I'm cosplaying almost 12 years now, so we don't count back. And it's great to be here. I haven't seen much except for contestants behind the stage, but so far it was pretty nice, and the organizers are so nice, and I'm really happy that I can be here.
And I'm TinYasuo from Denmark. I've been cosplaying for 10 years and do, in general, a lot of performing cosplay. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. A little awkward, but I hope you will forgive me.
Should I introduce myself in English? Or okay,
We are keeping it in English.
Okay, I have to practice. So hi guys, I'm Elyon, I'm Hungarian. You probably or maybe not know me, but now you will know. I live in Germany right now. We moved there 4 years ago, and just before that, like 5 years ago, I started cosplaying. But before that, I already visited lots of MondoCons because I used to be a Lolita. And I mostly cosplay Disney cosplays, and I'm really, really happy to be back at my home convention and to see so many familiar faces again.
Good, so let's talk about the cosplay itself. So all of you were involved in a lot of competitions separately, and yeah, you are pretty decorated already. So, yeah, since you didn't see much from the convention still, because you were occupied with judging, but you will go to actually meet people after this. When did you all start cosplaying? So, which was like you've been all been cosplaying for a while now. And how did you start cosplaying? Do you have any special stories with it?
You mean how I got to cosplay itself? Or?
Yep, for example.
For me, it was a small convention in my hometown focused on comics, and there we met some cosplayers and thought it would be pretty nice because I started reading manga. At that time it was obviously Naruto because it was so cool back then. And yeah, then me and my friends just decided to start it ourselves, and we came in the community and they were so open and friendly, and so I just stayed.
Well, I wanted to impress a girl.
Best answer ever.
So yeah, many years ago, by now, got a friend, and she was very much into cosplay. And then actually the cosplay right up there was the first costume I made just for her. And yeah, I got the girl, so it's not the same anymore, but it still counts, right?
That was your first cosplay prize, right?
You had to lift us up. Oh.
Yeah, I already told you that I was a Lolita, so I visited MondoCon a couple of times. And while I was doing this, I studied fashion design. So I started to study sewing, and then I realized that if others can make princess dresses, I might be able to make princess dresses as well. And actually, Nikita Cosplay visited one of the Holtvény cons back then. Sorry for the no advertisement anymore, so it's okay. And she was she's one of the best cosplayers for me because she's a Disney princess as well, like a real one. And I wanted to try to kind of impress her, so we cosplayed from Enchanted, the Disney movie Enchanted. And we entered our first cosplay contest and we won it. And after this, there's literally no stop. You can't stop doing this. You just fall in love with the whole thing, and you will do it in the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're pretty much doomed after that. Yes, yes. We all know that. Bankruptcy and such, yes. So what do you prefer in cosplaying? The costume making itself, or performing with it, or competing, or altogether the whole package?
I think for me it's the whole package. I really like making the costume when I have time and don't have to rush, and everything is super stressful, which never happens to anybody of us.
What is that?
And I really like performing with groups or alone, and in a competition it's often a motivation to do a bigger project. So yeah, I like the whole package.
It's kind of the same, though I have these stages where I like some things and then I don't like them anymore. So basically, crafting, of course, is a big part of it, but then when you have been working for, let's say, 5 months, and you realize there's 3 weeks left to the convention, then I don't really like it anymore. But otherwise, the performing is definitely a part of what caught me and kept me in cosplay, because I really always loved performing, but I was a shy kid, and I always got, that role, stone number 1. So it was a way to decide myself what to be on stage, and that has kept me through many years, because it's nerve-wracking but fun.
Cosplay in a nutshell.
Yeah, I will be different, because for me it's not both, but the only reason is MondoCon, because I started here like you do, and at a craftsmanship contest where it's mainly about a catwalk, it's really difficult to get into performance. I was really afraid. I was terrified on stage for the first time. Still I am every time now as well. And it's okay. I'm really getting used to it. So I really like to plan a performance now. I really like it when it has a story and you can show it. You can show the character to the world. But still, it's really difficult, and I definitely spend a lot more time and a lot more energy into making the dress. And I hope I will improve in performance, but yeah, it's difficult.
Well, it's not easy to excel in all aspects, I think. It's a lot of practice. Yeah, so all of you performed at one point. Which is harder, the costume making itself, or coming up something to present the costume with? Coming up with a performance idea, or?
I think it depends on the costume and the performance and probably the competition. For me, it's really different. Sometimes I just see a character or a reference and think, oh yeah, I can do this performance, or sometimes I have an idea for a special performance where I need to find a character for. So I think it's very individual.
Pretty much the same for my opinion. The only difference for me is that when it comes to performance-wise, to me it's kind of difficult to come up with a more serious, dramatic performance, while I also do a lot of more funny, humorous things, mostly in Danish. But with those, it's, for me, way easier than anything else, because I just sit down with my sister and we just write some stupid stuff down, and suddenly we have a performance. So that part is way easier than making the costumes, because it goes faster.
Do you prefer funny performances or more serious?
Well, I think by heart I'll always be kind of a little bit retarded, so I really enjoy doing the funny ones. But sometimes I like the challenge of the more serious performances, and the results to myself I feel more proud, because this is something I pour my work hours and soul into for months and months, while a funny performance, I can confess that sometimes maybe we don't even make choreography before, like, right before going on stage. So
that's impressive. Like, improvising is a good thing. Yeah, if it works.
Yeah, for me, the performance is definitely more difficult. But actually, I wouldn't say one of them is more difficult than the other. But making the costume, the actual costume, is definitely more time-consuming, I guess. So come up with an idea. It's like, yeah, you can really try to think about it, like really for a long time. But sometimes it just really works like this, and you have the idea. So it's really different than, I don't know, for like hand embroidering something for months or years. So yeah, it's not really the difficulty, but the time, maybe.
Yeah, it's like, I think basically everything, it depends on experience, probably, or how much work do you invest in it. But basically, in every cosplay competition I hear a lot of the newbie people that they're very, very nervous. Like, and I try to tell them that please don't be nervous, but they still like, oh, okay, I was the same actually. Do you still get nervous in competitions?
I'm basically always nervous. It's kind of like the Hulk, always nervous. So yes, I think it doesn't stop. I can imagine that it will stop someday, but
do you have some advice to the new people in cosplay? How can they fight the nervousness?
I like to practice and to organize things the way that I think I got everything planned, that it can't go wrong, and then I imagine the worst, and then I try not to think about it. But it's not always working.
Well, actually, I'm a little bit shaky just from sitting here, so...
See, guys, I always tell you, everyone is like that.
In general, I remember when, after the first time I went on stage, and I talked to my mom about the experience, and I told her that I was actually out throwing up because I was so nervous. And she told me that a lot of really good actors, they are just as nervous before going on stage, and that doesn't mean that they can't perform. It's kind of like you can go to your exam, be nervous, but it can still be great, and you can still do good. I think it's kind of the same for performance. And even till the day to day, if I have bigger contests where it's not just some casual fun one, then if I eat too much, I will still throw up because I'm too nervous. So just go for it.
That's not good.
I'm terrified, like every time. I'm really, really terrified. But the thing that I try to think about is that it doesn't really matter. So if you mess up on stage, no one will really care. You can make a really good performance even if you make a mistake. It's a really nice, friendly community, like in this thing. For example, it's kind of like a wedding. If you do something at a wedding, well, if it's your wedding, and if you do something at a wedding which is inappropriate or accidentally fall or something like that, no one will be angry at you because they all love you. All the people who are there, they really like you, and they don't think it's a mistake. It's you. It's the part of you. So yeah, I'm still horrified, so it doesn't help. But I try to think about it.
So basically, when it comes to costume making, what do you prefer, like sewing or crafting? For example, armor making or stuff like that? Do you have like a specialty that you think you excel at?
Obviously, I'm a lot into embroidery lately. I really like to do it because it's so chilled. You can just sit down and watch TV and drink a cup of tea and embroidery for hours. But I like a lot of things. I also like making jewelry or the crafting pieces. most of the time I have rather small stuff that depends on the characters I choose, and wigs. So probably sewing is the least favorite.
Well, I like pretty much all of it except from wigs and wig accessories. Everything that goes from here and up should just die. But preference is hand sewing, everything from embroidery to goldwork, sequins, beadwork, you name it. If I can sit with it and doesn't have to sit in front of a sewing machine, then that's my preference. But I still do prefer like to make sewn costume over, for instance, armor and stuff.
For me, it's definitely sewing. Sorry. And I really like small details, and I really like to over-decorate stuff. But my favorite thing to do is corsets. That's why I make princess dresses all the time, because I can make corsets.
You can be a princess.
Yes.
That's not... so, basically, what do you think makes a good cosplay? Do you have a recipe for good cosplay, or is just, yeah, it's hard work, obviously. But what do you think people should go in? What direction should they go if they want to become a good cosplayer? Like, how would you push a beginner to do it? I mean, it depends on how they already work, but like any advices to the people who want to be better? What do you think they should pay attention to?
I think it's a lot about what you think cosplay means to you, what you think being a good cosplayer is, that can either be performing the character really well, or if you want to focus on the costume, then there are steps like you try to match with the original the best way, even in the techniques or the fabrics you choose, but it might also be just having a great time and loving the spirit of it. So I think it's pretty different, and if you want to be better, you need to find out for yourself what better would be.
Well, yeah, agree.
Okay, so I have to come up with something now. Yeah, I think the most important thing is patience, definitely patience, and even if you start and you are not happy with your cosplay, you shouldn't hate it, because it's the way how you learn it. For example, I made so many costumes twice, and the reason is that after I finished it, I already realized I learned so many new skills that I can make it better. And it's really, the whole thing is like the way of learning, and you shouldn't give up after the first not so good cosplay.
And how do you pick your characters, for example? Like, is it like a conscious decision, or just like I fell in love with it and I want to do it? It doesn't matter how hard it is, or do you have like, you are looking for something, for example, I like details, I want to make detailed clothes, or I want to make something simple, or it's just, do you have something to go after?
For me, it's all of it. It's pretty different. I have some characters that I always wanted to do because it's my favorite childhood movie or something like that. Maybe a Disney princess, I don't know. Sometimes it's a technique that I want to try, and sometimes it's just a crazy thought. I made Rumpelstiltskin once, which is totally not my style, and I just wanted to do it because it's so different. Yeah, all of it.
And you did a great job.
To me, it's kind of the same, but I think it's more like it depends on what purpose it is I'm supposed to do. If it's for like a bigger contest, like the Danish Cosplay Championship, for instance, where we have qualifications for the bigger international contests, then I try to go for something with details. But I would never pick a character based only on the design. I can find a design that I love, but if I don't, when I read it or watch it or whatever it is, if I don't like the series and the character or just at least one of them, I will never cosplay it. Because to me, half of the cosplay for me personally is portrayal of the character. And this goes down to everything from the costume itself to how the character moves and if it's someone I would like to portray. Sometimes they're assholes, other times they're good people, but this is not like a type I choose from. But it simply just depends on, can I come up with a performance for this? Is the difficulty level hard enough and do I like it? But if it's for more casual things, then it's more like, I like this series or I like this character, and then I choose if it's something that I feel like I can personally portray, because I think that you can choose to cosplay whoever you want to, no matter your size, your height, your race, whatever, it's fine, as long as you feel confident with it. And personally, I don't feel confident, for instance, choosing really buff guys, because I know I can't portray it in how I would like to present myself. That doesn't mean that I in any way think that you shouldn't, but for me personally, it's not a comfort thing, so I try to just choose what I like, and then if it's something I feel like this is something I could pull off, because I know I'm short and I prefer to use it instead of putting on tall platform shoes and tripping over myself.
For me, yeah, it's easy. Disney princesses all the way. So for me, it's also really important to extremely love the character. So I really wouldn't cosplay someone whom I don't like. For example, a couple of months ago, I ordered a wig online and I got something completely different. I'm pretty sure it happened to everyone already who's ordering from the internet. And I was thinking, what can I do with this wig? And it would be perfect for Bellatrix from Harry Potter. And I was thinking about it for just 1 second, and I was like, no way I would cosplay Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter, because she has an amazing design. Most of the cosplayers pull it off like really, really well, but it's just so not me, and I so freaking hate her. So yeah, I really have to love the character, and that's the most important. The design is after. Then after I decided that I want to cosplay her, I decide if I want to compete with it, or it's just a more casual thing or something like that.
Excuse me. So, if you already chosen a character to do, are you those types who follow the reference exactly, or you like to put on extra details? Maybe go a little overboard with the detailing or something?
Don't look at me.
No, I'm looking at all of you.
I actually feel really weird or uncomfortable to add details that aren't there at all. I mean, something like this, one more rhinestone doesn't matter, but for me it's pretty strange if I have a very clean reference to add something that's obviously not there, but for now I start opening for something like, we saw several original characters, and I can see myself trying something like that somewhere in the future, but it still feels new to me.
I will at all times always stick to reference, because I believe that you can choose techniques that maybe, so for instance, if you take your costume for example, there are some ornaments there, and some people could choose to paint it on, which is completely fine, but I would have done just like you and chosen embroidery. So instead of going for the more simple solution, I like to add details in a different way, so it's not just I will add a lace here, but it's more like, okay, there is a line here or something, and maybe I will embroider it or use a specific kind of thread to stitch it on so it has a bit of shine. So I put a lot of thought into how to convert the details that are there into what the character for their personality or their time period, what they would actually wear, and what the materials would be, and how their costume would, or their clothing would be made. And then this is my approach on how I turn things into a costume. An example for it can be that I've made a couple of kimonos by now. One of them had a peacock design with a lot of feathers. And for this part, I chose to do 50,000 sequins and 50,000 beads, and spent half a year sewing this on to create this pattern instead of just painting it or applique or something like that. So for me, it's more like stick to reference at all costs. And if I add, it is into the design, so it doesn't add something that is not there, but it's just like a way of interpretations.
For me, it really depends on the purpose, because there are obviously contests where you are not allowed to do that because you have to stick to the reference. But sometimes, yeah, it's a good example on the screen now, that if I feel that, another good example as well. So if I think that the reference is kind of boring, it's flat because it's such a 2D animation or something like that, and it's old and everything, I really like to add details to make it more sparkly. Usually sparkles everywhere. But really, it depends, because, for example, I'm going to wear my new Anastasia cosplay tomorrow, and it's already so detailed, the whole design, so I didn't need to add anything, because it was already really nice. Obviously, I could choose like difficult cosplays all the time if I want to make difficult characters, but as I said, I choose the characters because I extremely love them, but I don't want to make still a really flat, like really boring clothes for them. So that's why I usually add a huge amount of extra details as well.
If you want to make a costume, do you take a lot of time planning it, or just, yeah, let's do it? For example, like I know it depends on detail. I'm very, very aware of it. But do you like to work on it more, or just do the quick jobs? I mean, just yeah, I can do it like overnight and such, or do you plan like way ahead? Like, I need 8 months to do this, or a whole year. Do you think about that when you, I know you said that it depends on if you want to take it to a competition or something, but how do you plan it? Like, how can you measure the work amount that goes in the costume?
No, I can't. I've learned that I'm not the type to work a costume overnight. I just hate it. So I really try to avoid it and organize before, and depending on the character, I think I need 3 months for a more elaborate costume, and during that time there are still nights before that I don't sleep a lot, and I think if I start early to quit sleeping, it won't be that stressful in the end. But I think in the end you always find something that you want to do, even if you're already done with your costume a month before. And I try to think about how long I will work on a costume, but I'm usually wrong.
Well, actually, I'm in a constant progress of making some big costume. Because at least for the past, since 2013, when I had the first NCC qualification I went to, it has fit every year that I qualify for an international contest. So I make the costume, then I qualify, then I make a new costume for the finals. Then after the finals, I start for the next preliminaries for something, and it has been like that for the past 5 years. But so basically I just start, and then I just hope that I'll finish in time, because I have absolutely no sense of time management at all. But if it's for smaller costumes, then I tend to be very optimistic, like, we have a week to the con, yeah, let's make these 3 costumes. It's a bad idea. Take your time, or you will suffer.
I'm an organizer freak. So I have all the plans in advance, like really, really months in advance. And actually my favorite part to make a cosplay is, like, I lied when I said sewing, because you asked sewing or performing, but there's a third part which is my favorite, is the research. And I extremely love research. It's probably because I studied fashion design, and then you really had to take a closer look on the details and everything, and if you have an eye for it, if you really know what to see, it's so much fun. My workshop will be about it, so advertisement time tomorrow. I really like to check the details on everything and to buy the materials that match it completely, that I can imagine in my mind how will I do it. So usually I have boxes full of fabrics and materials, and everything is organized by characters that I will make from them. And after that, it's really easy. After that, it shouldn't take long. Well, obviously, there are cosplays that should take long still, but if it's not such a difficult thing, I just get the box out and start it, and then finish it kind of quickly.
Okay, now I have a question which is separated because you are Hungarian. Tell us about a bit about the cosplay culture in your country. For example, like about competitions, like whatever you feel like sharing, or how you saw our cosplay competition. How is it different, or is it very, very different at all? And general, your opinion about your country's cosplay scene. And the question for you, because you moved to Germany as a Hungarian, how do you how are your experiences with the cosplay scene there?
Okay, so now whatever I say will be double-checked by Elyon. So in Germany, the community is actually pretty open-minded, and I think it's quite big. We often meet at larger or smaller conventions, book fairs, and we got a lot of Comic Cons lately. I think they're popping out like mushrooms at the moment. Everybody gets a Comic Con now. And the people are really nice. And for competition, I guess, or what I heard is that the Germans are kind of proud that the contestants are so nice to each other. And I hear a lot saying that they just want to participate, to be behind the stage because they really like the spirit and that everybody is helping and working together. And I think that's really nice. I haven't seen the other side of the judging room since I came here, but I just want to believe that it's like that everywhere.
In Denmark, it is kind of the same, but for us, it also like especially contest-wise, it also depends on which contest it is, and also what year it is. But as a general thing, the Danish community, I believe, is very healthy. It started out really unhealthy. I remember my first contests. The first contest in 2007, backstage people were like, okay, But by now it's like, oh, you look amazing. Here, do you need hot glue? Okay, now super glue, fine. I have an apple. Do you want it? So there's kind of like having a change.
I do.
So there was a big change, and I think it really started changing because people's mentality started changing. Because there was a lot of drama in the early years when I started cosplaying. A lot of the community in general were younger, but then I think a lot of us just grew, like we became a lot older, and then we realized, why do we need to have drama at all? And why do we need to look at other people because they cosplay the same character? And why do we need to see that as a bad thing when actually it just means we have a common interest? So we had a switch, majorly switch around 2009, I believe, where it was kind of like at least half of all our drama just disappeared. That was my experience, that I didn't see as much of it. And today it's like, it's very friendly, open-minded, and you can come to a convention, not know anyone, and you will most likely go home with at least 3 new friends. And they are not really, of course we have bad apples, I think every community do, but as a general, there are no one who's like, you won, I didn't win, so now I don't like you. And there is not the same bitterness as you probably can imagine for contests. It's not really like that, so it's very nice. I ramble a lot, I'm sorry.
Well, it's difficult. I'm not double-checking. Everything you said, it's completely true. But I can see the Hungarian compared to it. The interesting thing is that if you imagine Germany on a map compared to Hungary, it's like, I don't know, 10 times bigger, which means they have 10 times as much conventions. And as they also have other big cities, not just the capital, they have, like, all of the conventions are in different cities, organized by different organizers, and because of that, they are like really different from each other. So I wouldn't say it gets boring because I really like MondoCon, but it's really nice to see different locations, different cities, and some of them, like my favorites, have huge parks next to the convention, which is amazing if you can go out. And I think it changes the community as well. Because if there's a park where you can have a picnic with your friends, obviously more people will go, they will have fun there, and everyone is so kind because they are happy, it's not rainy, it's like most of the time.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, so it's really, really fun, and you can imagine how is it when there's a huge park and it's full of, I don't know how many 10,000s of cosplayers, and they all, well, yeah, Dokumi maybe, but yeah. Some of them are smaller, obviously, but it can be so much fun. And if you like the character, you just run to them and make friends. And it could work here as well, but I think it's different that you can always visit other cities and meet other people as well, but some people are at the same conventions all the time. So I think it's a really nice thing, but obviously we don't have any other big cities, because the second largest city in Hungary is London now, because of the population, Hungarian population. And about contest, it's the same, because there are so many different conventions that the contests are also really different from each other. They have different rules, different type of things that you can enter, and different kind of judges, of course. So.
And do you have like very different competitions? We are not talking about the international ones, only the local ones, like the conventions. Like, for example, we do have craftsmanship competition and performance competition separated. Do you have something like that, or is it once again the whole package that counts at a competition in your countries?
I guess in Germany it's a bit separated between the game cosplayers and the rest. Maybe there are Star Wars people as well, I don't know. And the gaming cosplayers who are used to go to Gamescom and cosplay from video games, there are many competitions that are divided in crafting and costume, while the more anime manga conventions rather have one in total that's with prizes 1, 2, 3, just with performance and probably costume judging combined.
Denmark is a pretty small country, so our biggest convention is like maximum 4,000 people, I think, so it's pretty small. And we have 2 bigger conventions, which contests are kind of similar. Like the selection of it, but I'll take JPOCon as an example, because we have, as you say, different types of contests. In the past, we used to have one like cosplay contest, which was both for the selections for other countries, but also just the general cosplay contest. It was one contest. But then over time, there were too many people who wanted to participate, so we split it up as the regular cosplay contest and the preliminaries for the other conventions, because we have a lot of preliminaries in the same contests because we don't have many conventions. So we have the regular show, which by now, at this convention at least, has just become who can make the most stupid funny stuff on stage. I don't know how it went to that, but it happened. And then we have the preliminaries, where we both have solo and group, and this is always performance. It's not, you're not allowed to just go up and walk down. For that we have a separate catwalk craftsmanship contest, which is usually after the performance show on the the regular cosplay show. Then we have the walk-on, while the judges for the performance contest, they go to vote, and then when they come back, they have the result, and the other judges go, and then it kind of works like that.
I'm sorry. It's okay. So we are close to the finish line. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to come forward, and I will go to the edge of the stage, hopefully not follow, but that would be funny. And obviously, if you can speak in English, we can translate it to English. And now we will say it in Hungarian. Szóval, ha van valami kérdésetek hozzájuk, hogy nyugodtan gyertek ide a színpad szélére, oda megyek, és akkor elmondom a viccet is, nem fogok leesni remélhetőleg. Hogyha van kérdés, akkor nagyon szívesen lefordítjuk, hogyha nem tudjátok esetleg angolul föltenni nekik. Van-e? Húha! Gyere!
You can also ask what team are we in Pokemon Go or stuff like that. I'm the only one playing, so it's it
What
doesn't
team
matter.
are you again?
What team are you in Pokemon Go?
Team Baylor?
Yeah, me. Blue.
Red.
Okay, so Symphonia, it's a question for you. The lovely girl here wants to know how you fixed the pauldron to your shoulder.
There is a chain here, and this one has two holes made of wire, and they are left and right from my shoulder, and just holding on this chain on the bra.
Nem értetted, ugye?
I can show you later if you want. Just
Oké. Nem látok több kérdést. Well, we don't have any questions, so thank you very much for coming. You can leave the stage now. Thank you. Please have a round of applause. A vendégekkel találkozhatok a B-csarnokban most ezután, illetve lesz még előadásuk Symphonia-nak ma, holnap pedig TinYasuo és Elyon. Várunk titeket arra is sok szeretettel. Köszönjük szépen a figyelmet!